live.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Again, we're streaming this live on Twitch. This is Screen Heroes. Voice you are listening to is Derek, one of your co-hosts. I also, of course, have with me Ryan and Ray.
Hi.
Hello.
And that was not in the right order, but I think you can figure that out.
Respectively.
Ray's voice is a little bit lower than I anticipated.
Rude.
Well, that's what you guys just did it backwards.
I think it sounded great.
You didn't hear it?
You're not as charming as you think.
Oh, that hurts. All right,
live stream,
so
too.
yeah, this is live. It's gonna be on
No taking that
YouTube.
back.
It's gonna be
I
on
don't think it's
iTunes. What?
I don't think you're
We're
live.
not live.
I can't pull you up on the Twitch.
Well, it's usually like 30 seconds behind.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, we'll pretend it's live and we'll take a look in a
Yeah.
minute.
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna
I
keep
mean, worst
trying.
case, the viewers are like, oh, hey,
Oh.
we saw some behind the scenes.
I think it's doing the thing. It's doing the thing. You're good.
We're live.
Yes, it's not an instant teleportation method, so.
So that other voice you're hearing is Nicole. She is our director.
Officially.
She's running the
Sure.
boards and stuff. So if you are live on Twitch with us, you can ask questions and make comments, and she will be the one to be able to relay those questions or talk back to you and those types of things. So please say hi to her when you have a chance.
Say hi.
So, all right. So for those of you watching, welcome. We're really excited to talk about today's topic. We have lots of goodies all over the table, including a couple of masks of unknown origin.
Unknown.
Unknown.
But they sure are good.
No, Ryan, you made these,
I
right?
did. I made those, yes. I sell them occasionally through my Facebook page, Buster Costumes and Props. It's actually facebook.com/Buster Costumes, but I usually refer to it as Buster Props, so.
You might want to change that then.
I probably will at some point. That's all on my business cards, though, so I kind of got to burn through those before I do that.
Fair enough. All right. So what is tonight's topic? What are we talking about?
Ninja Turtles!
Ninja Turtles.
Derek's going to sing the theme song. That's the next part of this.
We should have keyed that up to
Part two.
play. That would have been what we should have done.
We'll edit that in.
You know.
I don't edit, so that's easy for
That's
me
for
to
me.
say.
I'll be editing that in, I guess. Yeah, we'll be talking about Ninja Turtles. I'm really excited to talk about some of the Ninja Turtle stuff. Not as excited to talk about other parts of the Ninja Turtles.
We're doing it because Out of the Shadows comes out in a few months.
Yes, and there's a new video game coming out
Yes.
also that looks really cool. So
By the way, up until today, I had no idea it was called Out of the Shadows.
really,
I just did. I assumed it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Bebop and Rocksteady are finally here.
New secret news. I mean, a second Ooze secret or something. I mean,
Well,
Oozy
it's Michael
secret.
Bay. And, he named all the different Transformers movies. They're all named something instead of numbers.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
But
and I mean, even the original Ninja Turtles movies, I think were all named. Was 3 named? I don't even really remember that one.
yeah,
2 was secret.
3 had a
Ooze,
name
3
because
was
it's
It
time
was like
travel something.
Shanghai Nights.
Shanghai Turtles or something.
That's another bad sequel.
Yes.
Right.
Um,
I'm sure we'll get to
yeah.
that.
No, it has a name. I've got it upstairs somewhere. So
I'm sure you do.
Well, it was in the
Steelbook.
It was in the Walmart triple pack of the Blu-rays for all 3 of the original live-action Ninja Turtle movies.
So how could you pass it up?
Well, I wanted the other 2. They're more expensive separately.
They are. That's true.
So, all right. So, Ryan, I know this is one of your favorite fandoms. So, where would you like to start?
I mean, probably with the older stuff, since that's the only stuff I'm a really huge fan of at this point.
So when did you become a fan of Ninja
That's a good
Turtles?
question.
I don't even, probably like when it first was the cartoon, the original cartoon back in the 80s, I think like 87 or 89 or something was when that started. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I was a fan from that. My parents used to buy all the turtle toys for me and my brothers when we went out to the grocery stores and stuff. So we had all the toys and we watched all the TV shows and the movies and everything. I remember seeing the first 2 movies in theaters, and I'm a long-term fan. I didn't really get into comic books as a kid, but as an adult, I read a few of them, and I'm glad I didn't read them as a kid because some of them are a little dark.
They're
But
very
The old
dark.
stuff was definitely dark.
yeah,
Well, for me, I don't remember which came first, if it was the cartoon or the video game, because I distinctly
Which one?
Turtles in Time.
of course.
I remember that game more than I remember the actual cartoon, even though I knew I was just as into the cartoon. But for the Super Nintendo, That game was fantastic.
It's still, in my opinion, is like one of the probably the best Ninja Turtles game that they've made at this point. It's
my favorite.
and it's one of the best Super Nintendo games, especially with friends. I mean, it's an incredible game.
No, some of the older ones I couldn't really get into. They were pretty rough games, but Turtles in Time was the first one. I played that nonstop,
Yeah.
and it was one of only 2 games that my dad would actually play with me. So we would play that one together all the time, and so that was really fun.
Yeah, my brothers and I used to play that, and we had some family friends, and every time we hung out or spent the night at the friend's house or whatever, that was our go-to game. And until Twisted Metal came out, then that was the go-to. But the Turtles in Time is definitely the.
Well, I caught on because of the cartoon and the movies. Like the cartoon came out maybe a year before the first movie did, and I developed the love through the cartoon, but it continued through all 3 movies. And I'm gonna include the 3rd one because I was a kid and I made bad choices. So I still make bad choices. It happens. I like the 3rd Ninja Turtles movie.
I'm not even sure I've seen the 3rd Ninja Turtles movie.
It has Casey Jones in there.
I mean,
does he travel back in time with them?
Yes.
They all travel back in time?
Everybody.
Well,
Is
it wasn't
like-
actually him that traveled back in time. I don't think it was like his ancestor that was in the movie.
Somebody-
They meet Casey Jones.
And he looks exactly like Elias Cody. It's funny how that works.
Does he also wear a hockey mask?
No, but
Like
I think it's been a very long time since
In
I've
like
seen
feudal
that
China, wherever they go
one.
back?
I think he was a samurai or something back then.
Something.
Yeah, it was.
That's funny. I didn't even know that. What about
Yeah.
April? Is she there?
So, you know how April was just flat out replaced in the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not even.
She's not even in the third one?
They didn't even bother.
That's a shame. It's tough to constantly recast a character.
They also looked more like frogs than they did turtles, so that was the biggest bother for me about the whole thing.
Sadly, as the Ninja Turtles went on, both in the TV show, the cartoon, and in the films, it seemed that the production crew cared less and less. If you look at the first 2 seasons of the cartoon, they're really great stories. They've got a lot of fun characters, a lot of really cool action figure tie-ins. You look at the 3rd and 4th season and that 5th season where they brought in Venus, they have mismatched colors. Like Raph is all of a sudden wearing an orange mask, or all of them are just blue. Like
Which
they got
doesn't
really
bother, say, a colorblind person like myself who like
It
really
just
It
bothers
doesn't bother a child either, because I did never notice that as a kid.
No, I was being sarcastic.
Oh,
It was
okay.
annoying.
it bothered me as a kid because I felt like I cared more as a viewer than they cared about producing a good show. And the same goes for the movies. They couldn't ever get anybody from the previous film to come back to the next film. That didn't
Except
happen.
Elias Cody.
He showed up back up for the 3rd one. I assume they paid him a buttload of money.
I don't think he was doing much else at the time.
Right. But
I don't think that the production quality on Secret of the Ooze was any worse than
No,
the
that would be
original.
the one I would argue.
I
don't think that was a
disagree.
quality issue. That was a marketing direction issue. They were trying to make it just really for kids.
Well, that's because a bunch of, like, the 1 million moms complained
Yeah.
that there were so many weapons used in the first one.
But like that's,
and that's why, like, Michelangelo had to fight with salamis.
Yeah,
That's
but what I think about that is I don't think that
You know, the swords in the
I don't
ceiling.
think the production quality was any lower. I think quality-wise, it was the same level of quality. The story was just nowhere near as good.
I disagree because there was a noticeable difference between the suits in the first movie, the suits in the second, and
Really?
it looked like the suits in the second weren't as good.
See, I disagree.
I think that was the one thing that they got right. Was that they looked like it was the same movie. It just was directed towards 5-year-olds instead of 15-year-olds.
There was a definite change in the costume between the first and the second one. I mean, it definitely looked a little different, but I don't think it was necessarily a step down. It was maybe a lateral move. I think that I liked both the movie costumes, the first and the second movie. I mean, my nostalgia factor tells me that I liked the second movie better, but I think the first movie was a better film.
Yeah.
in
I
general.
liked the first one.
Secret of the Ooze is the one that I watched like 100 times as a kid.
Of
and,
course.
you know,
Well, come on, it's got it's got the Vanilla Ice rap and
which I love.
you
still
know
to
like
this day.
so yeah we all
Yes.
we love
I
that.
hate.
But yeah, the
those
first one was
years.
a better film. The second one was just the one we really connected to as kids.
I think and you're right on that. I think the first one was definitely definitely teenager into adult. There was a lot of very dark themes in the first one. That
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Raph storyline
Yeah,
was
he almost
pretty.
dies.
Yeah, I mean, these are all brothers, and they're watching their other brother.
Casey Jones just straight up murders.
Yeah, he's a full out psychopathic
that.
murderer.
That's how the movie ends. He makes out with a
Yeah, he
girl
goes,
meal and then straight up murders.
I just pressed this lever and crushed Shredder.
Didn't even wait for the police to get
No,
there.
I just thought about that completely.
He's remorseless, but I mean, really, that's probably the closest interpretation we've had to the comic book Casey Jones. So.
Easily.
Well, because the original one was supposed to be an attempt of a live-action comic book version.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the parents freaked out because at that point, we had the cartoon and there were video games and kids were a big market for the Ninja Turtles. And that movie is not a kids movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the cartoon was what really set, I think, the Ninja Turtles into the pop culture as a whole. And
I agree.
you can watch those cartoons, like you said, and as a kid, I loved them, but it was now when you watch them as an adult, you can see that this is just to sell action figures.
They don't hold up well.
The George Clooney, no, they don't. The George Clooney Batman was made to sell figures.
Yeah.
So was Ninja Turtles. They had all these ridiculous. I mean, you can see
that's
some
why
on
we
the
have.
table here.
We've got military Raph. We've got rock and roll Leo.
Yeah,
There's a football one.
yeah. There's, I mean, so many ridiculous.
I had a separate bus that was not the normal van. It was a school bus that had machine guns on the front and stuff. This thing was intense, and it opened up on the side to a stage, and all the Ninja Turtles had rock and roll versions with instruments, guitars and stuff, and those were their weapons. And
Well, there's the Universal Monsters Turtles. I don't know if you've seen those. They had I think it was Donatello was the mummy, and they had yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, they had a lot of merchandise.
Yeah, I mean,
one of this shredder that we have here, this giant shredder with spikes and everything. He's a super samurai shredder. There's this line of super samurai Ninja Turtles that came with armor and their fists shot off and stuff. In fact, that's why I have scars on my head. Is my little brother Daniel, who I'm sure is not even listening to this, chucked one at me and hit me right in the side of the head and sliced my head open. Because they're dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, well, and they're just from the sheer volume of toys they made. If he just started throwing one after the other, you probably wouldn't be here to talk about it anymore. They'd be buried in toys, never to be seen again.
So I didn't have a lot of action figures. Sadly, I grew up a little girl, and because of that, my parents were
There's
very.
a Neapolitan figure.
My parents were very into the gender-specific toys, and my brother got a lot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And the one thing that I got, which I absolutely adored, I slept with it every night. It was a blanket with the Ninja Turtles, and they were on the New York City skyline. You could see them bouncing around on brick walls.
That's cool.
It was awesome. It was very comfortable. And Mommy, find that blanket. I want it back.
Some of the other thing I really liked about the early Turtles is that first movie poster for the original movie. I don't know if you guys remember it, but it had the Turtles peeking out of the sewer grate with the skyline behind them.
So cool.
What a classic poster! That is I really want it as an adult to put on my wall, and I hadn't really even thought about it until we just started talking about it. And I remember man, that's just a really classic poster.
I still have the VHS for the original,
and it's on the
Turtles, and that's
VHS
the
too.
cover.
Yeah.
So that was a great poster.
They don't do posters like that anymore,
Not often. Once in a blue moon, you'll see something cool like that.
Really
but not now. It's just a bunch of really bad Photoshop.
Pretty much.
To get all the
somebody
actors
else's head on somebody else's body with the actor's head on it. Yeah.
They're all weird forced perspective where people are twice the size that they're supposed to be.
There's one giant floating head, and then there's three tiny little
or
people.
several floating heads.
Yeah.
Really.
So Turtles kind of fell into the wayside. Late 90s, early 2000s. Nobody really cared.
They went live action with the TV show,
Yeah, that was bad.
and that was really
And they had
bad.
a musical.
A traveling musical show.
It was ice skating or something. I don't
Traveling
remember what it
musical
was.
show. Yeah, Splinter had a love ballad, or
You could get the VHS at Pizza
Smooth
Hut if you
jazz.
ordered their kids meal or something like that.
Yeah.
You could get the VHS of the
musical.
for
wow.
$7 or something.
That's so bad.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, they merchandised Ninja Turtles through every facet that they could.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty unbelievable.
They appeared on Oprah.
They did, and that if you ever get a chance to watch that clip where they talk about how they want to fornicate with April, and you see like all the kids in the audience like
Get really like creeped out.
yeah, it's a pretty funny. It's on YouTube. I don't remember.
Why were there a bunch of kids sitting at the Oprah show?
Because the Ninja Turtles were on it as a
Right.
guest. And April.
Doesn't that make sense?
So weird.
That's the only time kids were ever allowed on Oprah, I imagine. And after
Probably.
that incident, they were probably nope, never again.
No.
Also, we're never
no.
bringing the Ninja Turtles back.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is
Probably
really
the
the
same.
illusion. You got
So-
something for us, Nicole?
I do actually. We have a question and a follow-up comment
Oh, okay.
from Dog Slurp, our most loyal viewer.
Yes.
Hello.
He wants to know if there's ever been a better cartoon intro than the original TMNT cartoons, because even Thundercats couldn't touch that, in his opinion.
Agreed, disagree. I mean, that was a great intro, but Thundercats was, I mean, it had a classic theme song, right? That's what
Yeah,
the Turtles did.
TMNT.
But Thundercats had an awesome, like their theme song was, for in my mind, that's like top of the line.
I don't know about that. I've got a lot of cartoon theme songs running through my head, but Ninja Turtles is very high up on
It
the
is.
list. If it's not, it's probably not number one in my book, but it's probably within the top five.
What is number one in your book, Rachel?
In my book right now, well, I'm blanking. Like
Okay.
so far, the only thing running
So,
through my head is
Right now, it is the best thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's better?
I always loved the Voltron one.
Voltron was good too, but it wasn't. I don't think it was as good as Ninja Turtles or Thundercats.
See, I think the problem was that if I had to pick one of those shows to watch, it would be Voltron. So,
As an adult,
as an adult,
as a kid, I think your answer would have been different.
that's probably true. As a kid, it was Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I owned all of those. I didn't own any of the other ones, but
we'll just have to buy you Voltron stuff.
I have the first one.
That's a good start.
But no, it's a great theme song. The music's fantastic. The animation was
It was really
good.
well done. There's like the best part about the '80s was it was filled with great theme
Yeah,
songs.
they kind of lost theme songs. Like there's still some, but
Will
they're not nearly
Smith
as
tried
good.
to bring it back with Men in Black and Wild West. Like if he appeared in a movie in the '90s, he wrote a theme song for it, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that dedication. But the thing is, it's gone now. Like there's
It
not.
doesn't happen.
Daredevil has a pretty nice theme song, and it doesn't
Nobody's
have like,
singing,
audio.
nobody-
It's a little different.
But that's
Because you're having Futurama has
that's
a
true.
theme song.
Yeah.
But the having like
Yeah.
the lyrics and
That's
having
true.
it be like a thing.
Like Captain Planet. Okay, that's another one we didn't talk about.
Right.
Captain Planet's theme song was like, for me, it's Thundercats, Ninja Turtles, Captain Planet, all like kind of.
Captain Planet was a little too corny to be high enough
That's-
up on the list.
Come on. Too corny.
Yes.
A guy with a green mullet that has an earth on his chest that's
But like the
promoting
whole,
not polluting as a kid in the 90s. It doesn't get any more awesome in 90s than that.
That's very
the
true.
power is yours.
Exactly. I think Dogsthorpe will probably agree with that one, that it was right up there.
Actually, the director agrees with you. I
Okay.
just typed in chat. Actually, I'm more of a Captain Planet kind of girl. So,
We're on the same wavelength,
thankfully.
but Dogsthorpe will probably like that one.
Captain Planet's great. I love Captain Planet. The theme song I never thought was really like amazing.
There's only a few cartoons nowadays that hold up to it and that have the same singability, I guess. And I'm gonna go with My Little Pony because that song gets stuck in my head like crazy.
But it's so like
You can't even deny it. When I make you watch it with me, you sing it later.
I do not.
Yeah,
I do not. I don't know what the words are.
not right now, no, but you sing it
It's
later.
funny how you forget that when you are on a live stream with Rachel and she's
Look,
like,
I will sit here and do Fresh Prince of Bel-Air word for
We're
word, the
good
long
about that.
version, but I don't know My Little Pony.
We've already seen you rap that at karaoke, so
yeah,
we're
it was
good.
horrifying.
We're good. The other
Kiss
one.
from a Rose, Ryan.
That was not horrifying. It was amazing.
The other one was Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I absolutely
I
love
never
that
watched
theme
that.
song.
Oh,
It's-
X-Men was a good one with no lyrics.
again, you just get that song stuck in your head.
Yeah, that's true.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
good.
my ringtone
No lyrics,
for a long
but-
time. Power Rangers had a good theme song, but it
That's
wasn't
right.
animated.
But that wasn't anime. Yeah, I was saying it's not anime. It's not quite the same.
Well, Ghostbusters had a fantastic theme song,
It-
but the animated TV show didn't have as good of a theme song as the movie.
but the actual visuals with the walking ghost down the street that
Yeah.
like dives into the thing.
That was-
yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool.
I like G.I. Joe, honestly.
I never watched
didn't.
G.I. Joe. Never
G.I.
watched
Joe.
G.I. Joe.
I was a big G.I. Joe guy.
G.I. Joe was a little racist.
There was some
Power
definitely
Rangers
undertones.
were
though.
racist.
The Power Rangers was also.
When I'm 3, I don't realize that's what's happening. I just see bad guys shooting different colored lasers at the other people. Like that's it's blue lasers and red lasers, you know. And then the other half is
Are we gonna ignore that he just said razors?
Yeah, I think so. It's okay. It's on the live stream.
It's razor.
Our viewers will call them out.
All right, so
just
let's get
walking
back
over my point because I misspoke. My apologies.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Anyway.
That he liked G.I. Joe.
Oh, okay. Got it. I got that part.
So let's get back to Ninja Turtles.
Good idea.
We were talking about the really bad Ninja Turtles and the hiatus they took, and I don't know how you guys felt about the 2007 film, but I absolutely loved it, and I was really hoping we were going to see a continuation. I liked what they did with the brothers. I liked what they did with April O'Neil and Casey. I liked the fact that Patrick Stewart played Mr. Winters, and he was a good bad guy. You wanted to root for him, but you also wanted him to be stopped because he was kind of a megalomaniac. And
Yeah.
I really wanted it to continue. Do you guys know why there wasn't ever a sequel when they set it up to bring Shredder back? 'Cause
I didn't do that well.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that would be what I would assume. Honestly, I'm a bad fan because I only like the old stuff at this point. And I haven't watched the new cartoon series. I haven't watched
that either.
the new movie. The
So
animated
they've
movie.
changed things multiple times.
I didn't
So
like the way they looked. I think
that was the
movie,
big
that
thing
was
for
my
the movie
problem.
was it was a kind of a departure from their style.
Yeah.
A lot of people, myself included, were not really a fan of the animation, and it just didn't do that well. And then they came out with these new TV shows, and there's been some fluctuations in what they look like too.
Well, the new TV show characters, the TV show is doing really well. It's bringing back a lot of the merchandise craze, and that's good. That means we're going to see a ton more turtle stuff, so I'm happy with that. But at the same time, they remind me of Sid from Ice Age, where he has a tiny body and like giant limbs.
Yeah, that's one of my big problems. Being kind of a Casey Jones fan was that like Casey Jones has like these tiny little twig arms, and he's like
right.
It's the
he's like a
animation
teenager,
style.
and it's like
Now, what's interesting is they took a page out of the Power Rangers book, and they actually crossed over with themselves. So there's an episode of
Interesting.
the new show
I did
where
hear
the
that.
original animated Ninja Turtles show up.
yeah,
With
I
the
haven't
original
heard
art
that.
style and
Didn't
everything.
Teen Titans do that too?
Teen Titans Go had the original Teen Titans. They've actually done it several times. Had
Right.
the original Teen Titans on
Well,
there.
so Power Rangers did one of the most brilliant things in child marketing I've ever seen. And that was they were running out of ideas. So they did this relaunch of the original Power Rangers. This was a long time ago, like 10 years ago, where they had new villains go back in time to defeat the original Power Rangers and basically recut the older episodes with these new villains so they could sell the old toys again.
That's creative.
It's
I
a business.
mean, that's pretty creative, though, right? Like that's,
Right.
You know, so the Ninja Turtles, they did something kind of similar where they brought the original animated Ninja Turtles into the new show that looked like the original ones, and they were kind of there next to each other. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, I never watched it, but I meant to, and I just haven't.
It was a cool idea. I liked that they did that. I thought it was a fun way to try to bridge the gap.
Yeah,
How would you guys feel if they adapted the comic book more faithfully and it was more of
watch
an
it.
adult?
as an adult, I would watch it. I mean, I would kind of feel bad for the kids not getting the same experience that I had as a kid. You know, being able
Right.
to go see Turtles in theaters. I guess they are. They are getting Turtles in theaters right now, but
If they're gonna do that, I would want it to be in some type of grayscale.
Yeah,
Let's do it in
it
a
should be
Netflix
black
show,
and white. That'd be really
so they can
cool.
make it a
Do
little
it like
more.
Sin City style.
Interesting. I
Think
don't
about
want it to be
think
live
about
action. It could be like Samurai Jack.
Well, no, but you could do it animated in the Sin City style, and certain things like, because in the originals, if you listening don't know, their bandanas were the same color in the
They
original.
were all
comic
red.
book. So, like in Sin City style, everything could be grayscale except for their masks, which could be red,
So it could be the spirit, basically.
but better.
Just by being a Turtles property, I think it's better.
I forgot about the spirit.
Rightfully so.
But I would like to see that, right? Like, do like a Netflix series type show that would be dark and gritty. It doesn't have to be as dark as Daredevil is
Yeah.
getting, but it could still be more adult, and you could do it in that Sin City style and throw flashes of color in when you wanted to.
So speaking of Daredevil, do you want to bust
Oh,
that?
okay. Yeah, if you didn't know, there's the whole like premise of Turtles and Daredevil are kind of bound together in eternity.
The creator of the Ninja Turtle comic was a huge Daredevil fan.
Yeah, and the original, if you know the Turtles' backstory, basically they get hit with some, depending on the backstory, some sort of ooze that mutates them, and that's why they're mutants, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And the actual ooze that hit them was supposedly the same chemical that hit Matt Murdock in the eyes. And you can, in the original comic books, you can kind of see the accident up above, but you see that it hit the turtles. And then there's a lot of other references in Daredevil. You have the Hand is the main like ninja organization that's against Daredevil, and in Turtles it's the Foot. And you have Stick as like the mentor to Daredevil, and then you have Splinter as the mentor to the Turtles.
Yeah.
And I think there's more references than that.
It was a clever way to do it because as a kid I had no idea that
Nope.
those two things were connected.
Even as an adult, you didn't know those things were
It was
connected.
pretty recent
Yeah.
that I discovered that. So they did it well. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I kind of wish I had been a comic book reader at that time, because I feel like
Right.
realizing that was what was going on would have been pretty awesome
Yeah.
to just kind of figure that out for yourself. Because we didn't, have the internet back then. It wasn't like we could just have somebody on Facebook go, guys, did you see that reference?
Obviously, Marvel has never optioned Ninja Turtles to be in their universe, which
it's a waste. In
Yeah.
fact, actually, interestingly enough, they're in DC right now.
yeah.
They have a comic book series with Batman going on right now.
But does Marvel really need somebody else in New York fighting crime? I mean, come on. They've got
Well, look,
they're
they're
like a 3-block radius.
The Defenders are in Hell's Kitchen,
Right.
right? So the Turtles can take like the Upper East Side or something.
That's true.
But
Spider-Man
Spider-Man,
also does
Fantastic
everything
Four.
else.
Like,
They don't,
pretty
they
good.
don't have the Fantastic Four.
no, the MCU
Yeah.
doesn't
I
have
thought we
it.
were talking about the MCU.
No, we were
Oh.
just talking about Marvel.
Well, Marvel has comic books for Ninja Turtles,
They do?
don't they?
Not in the universe.
No, that Daredevil and like Ninja Turtle connection was just
No, I know.
like an underhanded play
But
by
they're-
the writers.
So who owns the rights to the Ninja Turtles comic books?
IDW is using them right now. That's who does the crossover. They did the crossover with Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles, and then they're doing the Batman.
Gotcha.
God,
I
I
thought
watched
Marvel-
that movie.
Right?
I
That would be
thought
awesome.
Marvel owned the Ninja Turtles comic books. So,
They do not.
well, that's okay.
You'll forgive them.
That's fine. They don't need any more crowd.
Well, they don't need anybody else in New York. Let the other 30,000
Not just New York, just the island of Manhattan.
yeah.
Everything bad happens there.
Right.
Very true.
That's true.
It's awful. Alright, so we have all that, and then Ninja Turtles was coming back. It was going to have a revival thanks to Michael Bay.
Yes. And that had a horror story of a
Just from the
production.
beginning. From
Well,
the
the very
get-go.
beginning, when it was kind of announced that Michael Bay was going to be producing this
The internet
property.
collectively groaned.
Well,
Because he
yes.
already destroyed Transformers.
Then he went out.
Oh, Transformers! Why do we, that's got one of the greatest.
I both have a great theme song. You got really excited about
Sorry.
it.
Guys.
I don't know.
Uh,
Transformers were my favorite. I
so-
don't know why it didn't occur to me.
Early on, when it got announced and Michael Bay was going to do it, you were right. Everybody was like, "What? He's going to ruin our childhood," and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
rightfully so. But
Well, he started from the get-go saying they're no longer mutants,
They're
and they're no
aliens.
longer teenagers either.
yes,
These are alien adult Ninja Turtles.
right. And everybody's like, "So you're making a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie,
But you're axing half.
but
of
they're
what
axing,
they
they're getting rid of half of
The
what actually
concept
makes them
art, turtles are reptiles. They are reptiles. The concept art made them look like amphibians. They had like the water spike,
Mhm.
and they had
Because they were supposed to
webs.
be aliens. They weren't supposed to be.
Yeah.
But they're still turtles. Like
I don't even know anymore. I thought they were just going to be called like Ninja Bay things.
If I remember right, the script actually leaked too onto the internet, or
Yeah.
was part of one.
I never read it.
I didn't either. Well, I read parts of it, but it's been a while now.
I don't remember the actor's name, but the white guy that was originally supposed to play Shredder. He was
Oh, the guy who was
Oh,
in like
yeah.
everything. He's in the Dark Knight. He's
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, he's
I never remember his
originally
name.
supposed to be Shredder,
Yeah.
and then the internet lost.
Well,
their
why would
crap
he be
over that.
Shredder? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
my problem with that is, you still had him in the movie. You didn't like completely cut him
True.
out and replace him with an Asian actor.
They kind of did what they did in Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
You know, where he wasn't real. Spoiler alert, he's not really the Mandarin, you know.
right.
This guy wasn't really Shredder.
yeah.
Oh, this other guy was.
Well, so just to preface all this, I guess kind of Memphis this because we're in the middle of a discussion about it, but I never actually saw the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, you didn't see it? Did you see it?
I did see it.
I had a lot of issues with it. Many of them stem from Michael Bay. He wasn't even actually the director; he was just producing it, but it was still enough to kind of turn me off. And then the Turtles designs that. I mean, I don't think I was very much struggling to get past the way they looked because they had nightmare faces right off the bat. It was like, how am I supposed to watch a movie with something that's supposed to be, something I love, and then it looks like something I would want to stab in the face if it came near me,
It was bad. The design
I
was
believe
bad.
you called them nightmare faces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I got to see it for free. One of the pre-screening things, like
Yes.
GoFobo or something.
Only way that you should see
Yeah, that was the only way I was going to see it. So I did get to see it, and there were parts of it I liked. The actual overall story is not bad. The story is actually pretty good. All of the dialogue and the design are awful.
I liked the idea that they were April's pets as a
Yes.
kid because I thought the connection between April and the Turtles was always a little flimsy and bordered on this weird sexual tension.
Well, that was still in the Michael Bay one.
Yeah,
Yeah, you made the shell tight, remember? She made the shell tight. In the
They
first,
made so
10
many-
minutes of the movie.
Right.
Michelangelo is my favorite Ninja Turtle. He's always been my favorite Ninja Turtle. Maybe it has something to do with that in Turtles in Time. He had the best special move, in my opinion. But
Donatello was the best.
his entire character in the entire Michael Bay movie is nothing but 12-year-old jokes
Right.
the entire time.
yeah.
When
It
Rachel
was
watched
really
this
fun.
movie for the first time, she was on Facebook chat with me, giving me OMG joke. And so that's how I watched it.
Yeah, it totally was.
That's how I watched it, and
you watched it via
Via-
live
yeah. I watched it through Rachel basically, and I'm good
For
at
the
that.
record, I was not in a movie theater just live tweeting the movie. I saw a bootleg copy online.
Yes, she had a legally purchased
If you're gonna
copy.
go to jail for a movie,
That's one of those crimes that they just murder you in jail for. The inmates just take care of you. You stole Ninja Turtles. You watched Ninja Turtles. You're
no. If I'm dying and I'm not gonna make it to the release of I don't even know anymore. It would have been episode 7 of Star Wars
Yeah.
if there had been a movie, right? And I had to bootleg it to see it before I died, but they caught me. That was worth it. Okay.
yeah, but Michael Bay produced Teenage
I
Mutant Ninja
wasn't
Turtles.
gonna pay for it. So anyway, let's talk about some of the things that you liked.
So did you either of you guys like the movie?
Overall, no. I would have given it a 2 out of 10 stars or some.
I would have given it a much higher rating than that, maybe 5. I think that it was a good idea that was poorly executed. The actual plot concept is pretty interesting. I like the way they handled the relationships with the Turtles, how the bad guys, were, what their big plan was, the relationship with April. I liked all of that. What I didn't like was the designs.
Yeah. Which is kind of a big
Even
part.
though the
It's
Turtles
the
grew on me.
visuals.
By the end of the movie, the Turtles were actually, they grew on me quite a bit, because one thing I appreciated was that they were much more diverse in style than they used to be.
They also seem to be the closest set of brothers. And I know that's weird saying that because they were always really close, but they also seem to split off. And it was Leo and Raph who butted heads and then hugged it out, and then Donnie and Mikey in the corners
Yeah.
just watching them and making jokes about pizza. And
There's a lot
Well,
of
I mean,
but
I felt like these were more central. They broke it off and made other pairs instead of those two.
we got to
core
see a
ones.
lot of their relationships. We got to see them in their hideout a lot, which was kind of cool. So again, what they were trying to do was a good idea, but they executed it poorly. The fact that they all look really different, and they all have different stuff that they're wearing, and Donnie's got his gadgets and stuff. I like that because you could see them and instantly know which one was which without the color thing. And being somebody who is partially colorblind, unless they were holding their weapons, it was kind of a pain to figure out who was who.
I like some of the action sequences that they did together. I'm gonna just flat out say that the elevator scene was probably my favorite because it was the 4 brothers just letting go, having fun, kind of psyching themselves up for the
Yeah,
coming
that's pretty
battle,
funny. I
and they
like
were
that.
just. chilling. They were just hanging out. And,
You're not the only one to say that. That was one scene that I've watched like in full, and I
well,
think
it was
that
in the
had-
trailer.
It was in the trailer, and it was also I heard a lot of people talking about it, so I looked it up. And if you read some of the interviews with the people that made the movies, they said that the reception that they got from just that one scene, like people talking about that scene, was what they were missing in the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've kind of, supposedly with the new movie, they've kind of gone more like we want to see the brothers joking around together, you know,
Having a
that
good
route.
time.
Because the
Yeah.
casting wasn't a problem either. I felt like the voice actors, the guys who did the mocap and everything, I thought they were good
Yeah,
too.
they were fine.
Yeah, but they also, if you read interviews with them, said that as soon as the movie was finished and they went all watched it, that they knew that it was not going to do well. And
I can appreciate that though. Like if they're willing to admit that they understand what was missing and they can admit that, then maybe this one will be better.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like I'm saying, like the first one had a lot of opportunity. They really had a good idea.
Yeah.
I think they focus too much on the humans, which is my number one complaint with the Transformers. It's not about the humans in either.
It's not always about us, guys.
In either of these series, it was about the Transformers. You should have focused more on them. The first movie is forgivable, the Transformers, because it was really about how we as a society are going to accept this presence. But the second film, third film, no excuse. It
Fourth
should
film.
be all about them. Like sixth film, I don't know what they're on now.
They've done 4. The 5th one's in
I've
production.
stopped watching after 2. It's like the Saw films. I stopped watching after 2.
probably better that way.
But
Right.
like, there's a really cool fight scene with Splinter, and the fight scene is cool. The CGI for Splinter is
It's
some
so
of the
bad.
worst CGI I've seen in years.
The voice was really off too. I didn't like.
I
whoever
had
did
no
his
problem
voice
with any of
in
the voices.
mocap.
The voices were fine.
I didn't like it.
Do you know what other movie had a really great fight scene with Splinter? The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it didn't have bad
Oh, that
CGI
was
because it was
so
just
good.
a puppet
But again, that's my point.
or a
though,
guy
is
in a
that-
suit.
That was so good.
But that's my point is that this movie had a lot of things that they did well, and it was overshadowed by all the things they did really poorly.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like the big fight scene at the end with the turtles, where they're fighting what's essentially Super Shredder, because that's what it's Megatron.
Megatron Shredder.
Right, it's
Yeah.
Megatron Shredder, right? So he's Super Shredder for no reason.
Mecha Shredder,
Yeah.
Mecha Shredder.
At least in The Secret of the Ooze, they spent 3 seconds explaining why he's Super Shredder.
Right.
You know?
Why? he
Well,
was
and you
like
understood.
that.
He got the ooze, and then you see him grow, and he's
Right.
like knocking over pillars.
But now all of a sudden we've got some dude in this Megatron suit who's throwing magnetized knives
Mhm.
like crazy, just all over the place. Knives,
And as far as we've seen up until now, he has been this imposing Asian man behind a shadow, like
Right.
talking to white guy who was supposed to be villain.
But like, is he supposed to be like a good fighter? Because really, he spends his entire time throwing a bunch of knives and magically come back
Shredder
into
is supposed
place.
to be a good fighter.
Yeah, he's
Right, but like this character, like if you don't know the Ninja Turtles going into this movie, you have no reason to think that this guy can do anything but throw knives.
Right.
Right? It's a really bad.
well, it's a very intense skill to have if you're in the Hunger Games. It's my
Throwing
only
knives.
argument for it. Yeah.
Well, I don't think they get the full suit in the Hunger Games, and I don't
No,
think you have
that's
that
too bad.
skill outside of the suit.
Well, anyway, so there are some things that they
None
did.
of my-
Right.
There were some things that they did really well. It was just overshadowed by the stuff they did incredibly poorly.
Right.
And that was the dumb jokes, but no real fun moments other than the elevator scene.
Yeah.
You know, just
And
the bad CGI.
the sliding on your shell during the snow. That was cool.
That was alright. That scene CGI was pretty poor, so that just detracted from me.
I thought it was like 10 times better than the barrel scene in Hobbit.
Well,
But I hadn't seen that yet. Hadn't I? Like, this was before Hobbit, wasn't
No,
it?
Hobbit 2 had already come out by now, I thought.
no, I don't think so. I think
I'm
it was
gonna
just
have
the
to
first
look
one.
that up.
And look, it doesn't excuse it. I mean,
No.
the thing is, bad CGI, there's no excuse for it today. You see good CGI on TV episodes on the CW.
You see good at
You know.
CGI commercials.
Yeah, so if you
Yeah,
can't give me
that's
good
true.
CGI in a $600 million movie, like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
You know?
Well, and I think a lot of the complaints.
Fire Will Arnett and put the money towards CGI.
Yeah. That
Why
would
was
probably
he
help.
even there?
He was.
Well, and that was another complaint that a lot of people had was that it was too much of him, and
his
it kind of
character wasn't only pointless, but he was there to ogle and sexually harass
April.
Megan Fox.
Yeah.
And I swear that's what Will Arnett's purpose is in real life.
Part of me was like, they're not going to make him Casey Jones by the end of this,
Oh.
Right.
Because nothing has been announced yet for a sequel. So I'm watching this and I'm like, he can't be Casey Jones. Like, this doesn't
Yeah.
work. But he's there, so he must be there for a reason.
Yeah. No, he's just the cameraman.
He's just annoying.
He was awful.
Now, I will say, at the very, very end of the movie when they show the van, I thought the van looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like the
I'll
van.
go with that.
I thought the van looked good.
So a lot of the complaints people had, the producers and the actors and things, they heard those complaints. And if you watch the trailers for the second movie, you can tell that they addressed a fair amount of those complaints.
It
The turtles
seems like
look
they
different.
did.
The turtles' faces look different.
Yeah.
Donatello isn't covered head to toe with like weird tech stuff. He's got, like a little power
Some
glove.
tech
and,
is
like,
okay. He's always
Yeah.
techie, but
but like the backpack, do you
the
really need the
gloves
Ghostbusters backpack?
do you
I-
need it when you
it didn't-
already have a shell? Like, you poor thing.
Right. Here's the thing. That didn't bother me because if you go and look at the cartoon, the intro to the cartoon, he has a machine the size of this house that makes a cup of coffee. Okay, so the fact that he had a bunch of gadgets on him in the live action version didn't bother me at all.
I think it was a little overkill, is all I'm saying.
No,
I mean,
you can tone it down, but
Yeah.
that didn't bother me.
well, that's what they did, is they toned it
And
down.
that's fine, but of all the things to not like about that first movie, that's so low down.
Well,
on
they're
the list.
addressing character,
Yeah.
the way they look issues,
Yeah.
character aesthetic issues, and that was one step, along with adjusting the way the faces looked. I think they toned down the vascularity and like the muscularity a little bit. So
They
don't
were
look as-
pretty, yeah.
They don't look as like steroid use.
Yeah, they were roided
But that
up.
doesn't really like look at the action figures that we've got here. I mean, you look at like Donnie. I mean, he's got muscles that humans don't.
If I look at Donnie, he does not look like a bodybuilder. Those guys look like bodybuilders.
Well, because-
Donnie looks like a fit guy. That
He
you
still
see.
looks
Well, he's got like the bulging veins and stuff.
Yeah, vascularity is natural, but I mean theirs was like.
I know.
Yeah.
They were over the top. I'm not.
And I think the
disagreeing
combination
with
of
that,
all these little things probably, I'm hoping will kind of
but for me,
fix it a little
tone
bit.
is number one because the bad CGI they should just make it better CGI. I'm
Right.
not necessarily looking for a redesign, but like Splinter didn't have to look like smooth, shiny, 2002 CGI. Like it looked like. He looked like the fight scene with Agent Smith and Neo at the end of Matrix Revolutions.
Yeah.
That's what that CGI
And that
looked
came
like.
out, like 8 years before that?
And
or
it looked
10 years?
bad when it came out.
Right.
Right? So this is happening, and that looked bad. Was Splinter's design bad in the entire movie? No, he was fine, but the CGI was cheap.
Right.
I don't know where they spent their money, but it wasn't on CGI.
Well, it was on Johnny Knoxville voicing Leonardo, or whichever one he voiced.
Oh, gosh.
I forgot that
What's
was
that? We get a comment?
There's a small riot happening in chat,
There's a riot.
led by Harley Joker Love,
Okay.
because you guys haven't said cowabunga yet. So can you get on that, please?
I'll let
Should
Rachel
we do it together?
Yes.
Cowabunga!
All right, we're your puppets.
That's all I had for you.
Turtle
No, I
power.
think we're good.
Turtle power, and it echoes like it does in the movie. And then
We're not performing monkeys.
That was
Chat
bad.
room.
Like, your voice cracked.
because that's what it does in the game.
Sure.
That's
you
why
didn't play the game.
I did not play the game.
We're not performing monkeys, so don't ask us to do that again. We love you guys.
All
Come
right,
on.
so what are you looking forward to in Out of the Shadows? Or
Um,
are you looking forward to anything?
Bebop and Rocksteady. Easily.
Krang. Yeah. Dimension X. The Technodrome. I mean,
I am a little nervous about Stephen Amell playing Casey Jones.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
You
'cause-
don't think he can play the crazed killer guy?
No, I've seen that. I have a feeling it's either going to be too close to Arrow or too washed out Arrow.
He's not gonna fail this city.
Here's the thing, I haven't seen Stephen Amell do anything else, so I'm just worried I'm going to see more Arrow. And
See, this is why actors get typecast.
I agree. People get scared that they can't do more. They can't do anything else. I am scared that he can't.
I think he'll be fine. I'm not.
I don't
really
think
worried about
I
it
don't
at
think the
all.
issue that I'm worried about with Casey Jones is Stephen Amell. I think he's a fine actor. He does, he's what I've seen him in. He does fine. I'm sure he's good at other things. But the writing for the character, from what I've seen, I mean, it's hard to say. We're basing this off 2 trailers, but he very much
And he
seems
has
like
very little to
very
do with
little,
either
yeah.
But the
trailer.
writing was the main problem in the first movie.
Well,
the dialogue.
It sure seems to me like he's the preppy hockey player, rather than the guy that's had a couple too many shots to the head and a couple too many teeth knocked out. And
well, maybe that's what he becomes by the end of the movie.
why is he fighting crime if he's not that? The whole thing about Casey Jones was
I mean,
that
here's the thing: we don't know anything
We don't.
about it. We have no clue what his origin's going to be. He could be just a preppy hockey guy that bumps into
it
April.
could be, and that's what I'm worried it is.
Yeah.
And I think also that the fact that they took the long hair away seems like such a small thing, but I think that in the character of Casey Jones, it kind of you get that kind of unpredictable vibe from him when you see him with the mask and the
When
long
he's
hair.
disheveled.
When he's got like the preppy, perfectly
understand
groomed
that.
hair and everything else, it's like,
That's
what's
I
one of the things
like-
that sold Heath Ledger's
and he's
Joker
using
so much.
rollerblades. Come on, is it 1995, bro? What are we doing here? Come
It
on.
is the Ninja Turtles.
It's Ninja Turtles. Yeah,
Oh.
use a hoverboard, right?
I just want to
Like one of
make
those-
sure that they get Casey and April's relationship right, and the fact that they don't need to be romantic. Just because they're the only two humans in this doesn't mean they
And
need
it's
to
either
get
Casey
together.
or Mikey. She's got to pick one.
I think they're probably going to push it to be romantic.
Well, they did in the
Unfortunately.
other ones, but at the same time, they also butted heads. Those two get along very differently. April.
They were both
feels-
strong characters in
Yeah.
the original movie. Yeah, it's like watching. Yeah, it's. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, he's more emotionally charged. He believes that there's black and white in the evil, and she's a reporter, so she knows there's like a ton of gray to the world, and you've got to pick your battles and really figure out what to do and what not to do. And so she's a little bit more logical. He's a bit more emotional, and that's why the two of them just butt heads constantly, and I love that. So
It's a fun dynamic in a Ninja Turtles movie because
Right.
you don't really. I mean, you get a little bit between Leonardo and Raphael, and that's whatever. That's mostly just Raphael being.
you have
You
two
know,
humans
butthead.
in this, two.
Yeah.
Make them really go the distance with their relationship. No two humans on this planet get along every single day.
Right.
So if that's just
I
it,
don't
like,
think it's
oh
gonna
my
be
god,
a
you're
focus.
cute. Like,
It's-
oh, you're cute too.
Yeah.
And that's going to be
It's
it.
It's not going to have a focus. It's going to take the back seat because they're going to focus on the action. They're going to focus on Bebop and Rocksteady being mutated.
And
they're
I
going to
hope
focus
so.
on Krang. Like, they have so much other stuff going on that's not.
I can't believe that it's 2016 and we're just now seeing Bebop and Rocksteady.
So as a
Live
child,
action.
my dream, and never in a million years did I ever think. I've told you guys this before that I would ever see Dimension X, Krang, Bebop, Rocksteady, any of those Technodrome in a live action movie. So I boycotted the first movie, right? But this movie, I'm reasonably confident that I'm going to go see it the first weekend because even if it's horrible, I have to know. I have to see what they do with Bebop and Rocksteady. Baxter Stockman is in it too. We haven't even
Yeah.
talked about that.
I didn't
Baxter
realize
Stockman
he was in it.
Yeah.
These
This
are
is a big
things.
deal.
They're not going to do him too, are they?
I mean, I don't know how they're
Probably
going
not
to
to
relate
his
to it.
like full completion, but they'd set him up for a
He's
third.
always been one of my favorite
Yeah,
villains.
and I mean, it's another thing. Did I ever think I would see that in a live action movie? No, I never did. And it's just another reason. I have a long list of reasons why I boycotted the first one, and I have a slightly longer list of reasons why I want to see this one. That's
That's
why
fair.
I'm probably going to go see it.
Who's playing Baxter?
It's Tyler Perry, I think.
That's weird.
That is a little weird, but okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I
I'll
can't
look it
remember
up.
for sure. Yeah, Rachel's going to
Talk
play it.
amongst
But, I mean,
The
yourselves.
last role I saw him in was in Star Trek, so.
The Technodrome looks a little weird, but I mean, they just kind of modernized it. I think in this last trailer, you saw a shot of it in the sky, and it's like floating, and it's like an orb, like a metal orb.
Well, I figured that was it coming out of the portal and it's going to land,
I'm hoping it looks a little close. Like, I don't expect it to look like what it did in the animated TV show
Sure.
or like the Turtles in Time game, but if it looks, more like that, at least to have some kind of vague similarity rather than just being an orb, I'd be happy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's a pretty big deal to see in live action. And then the little bit you got to see of Krang with like the really huge like mechanical body, and he had the
Yeah.
brain in there, but the brain is really kind of scary looking and not jokey and cartoony.
Yeah.
He was that way in the TV show. I just hope
Yeah,
they get the
Tyler
voice
Perry.
right. Is it Tyler Perry? Yeah, that's
It
what I thought.
is.
I hope they get the voice for Krang right because that'll seal the deal on whether he's super creepy or kind of a joke. But
So do you think with all of these villain characters, do
I
you
did not know Tony Shalhoub did the voice for SpongeBob.
yeah,
Do you think there's gonna be room for Shredder in this movie?
I mean, in the cartoon and a lot of the comic books, Shredder was always kind of a puppet of Krang.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would assume that there's going to be some. I mean, he's in the movie, so yeah.
Just seems like
Is
a
it going
lot.
to be Spider-Man 3 with like?
That's what I'm worried
17
about,
villains,
right?
maybe?
Like you have your Spider-Man 3 and you have your Batman and Robin, where you just keep throwing more and more villains at the screen, hoping one of them sticks.
I don't know how they're going to go about it. I feel like Bebop and Rocksteady are going to be the main antagonists, and that
I believe
Krang is going to be more of like. They show kind of a fight scene with Krang in the trailer. I think that's going to be more of Easter egg towards the second or the sort of third movie. I don't think they're actually going to defeat Krang. I think that they
So
might.
do you think in the
Fabio
third
wins.
one they bring in more of the obscure?
I think they'll go to
Teenage
Dimension
characters?
X.
Yeah.
like,
They should bring in
uh,
the pizza monsters.
But I
Come
think
on, those were great.
I think that I want to see him drive the turtle van into
I don't know
Dimension
why I'm
X. That's
here.
all I want to see. Shooting manhole covers in Dimension X. That's what I want to see out of the pizza van. I don't know. I imagine they obviously have to resolve some storyline with Krang because they're not going to end the movie with the Technodrome in New York and the turtles are just like, hey guys, we beat Shredder.
They
But
might.
that was his giant Technodrome.
They might. You never know.
They could. I think that would be cool if they did that and just kind of left a cliffhanger of, this is what you're going to see in the third movie. But I don't see them doing that. It would be
Okay.
great, though. They should.
All right. Well, we are past the 50-minute mark. You guys have anything else you'd like to say?
Yes, I have written my own little fan fiction of female turtles based on works of art from the Renaissance era, since, people tend to forget that women existed. And they're four sisters, and I'd like to cosplay them.
So if there's other women out there that want to do that, get a hold of Rachel.
There you go.
Do we have anything from chat before we...
The last thing that was said is Slash! Exclamation mark.
Slash was cool, yeah. I mean, I don't think we'll see Slash in the movies, but I would like that very much. He was a good foil to the Turtles, kind of a snapping turtle, and with a curved dagger or a
I mean,
spiky dagger.
maybe in the third one or something. I'm worried they've got too many villains at this
Yeah.
point.
I agree.
But I want to see Slash. Yeah, I agree with you, whoever said that.
All right. Well, if people want to get a hold of you guys, how would they go about doing that?
Well, I am Ray from the Super Sirens. You can contact me through that Facebook. Just say hi and maybe give it a like. Look at my cosplay photos. No
Right.
big.
Buster Props on the Instagrams and Facebook and all that. And you can always find me through the grid too, because I stalk Derek, so
Cool.
I read his messages all the time.
And for those of you who are listening, please join us live on Twitch next time. We do these live recordings now on Monday or Tuesday nights, depending on the week. We always post about it beforehand, but it's twitch.tv/griddaily. You can subscribe to our page and follow us there. Ryan does video Twitch streams. In fact,
Just did one earlier today.
Yeah,
the
the
new Fallout 4 DLC, yeah.
yeah, how was it?
So far, I played for like an hour and a half or so, but it was
Only.
it's pretty fun.
Well, it's cool.
Yeah, I came home from work and installed it because I realized that the season pass wasn't in there. Dang you, Bethesda, get that fixed. That's rude. I paid so much money for your collector's edition, you can't throw in some DLC.
They gave you a Pip-Boy.
They didn't give it to me. I purchased it.
Nah.
Sons of guns. Give me some stuff. Come on.
All right, so you can also find us all over the place. Facebook.com/Screen Heroes Podcast will get you to this podcast Facebook page. You can also go to screen-heroes.com to subscribe on iTunes. Whether you listen to us on iTunes or not, if you could go out there and leave us a review, that would be very helpful. It helps people find us. The more reviews we have, the higher ratings we have, the easier it is for people to actually find the podcast and listen in. So if you do leave us a review on iTunes, we promise that we will give you a shout out on the show.
Woo!
So please do that. And we have a Patreon, which helps us pay for new tech. For example, if you're watching this on Twitch, we kind of could use a better camera. Maybe something that I filmed in 16:9 instead of 4:3. I don't know what decade this is.
That way
But,
we don't have to sit so close to each other.
Yes.
Yeah,
Slightly
yeah.
uncomfortable.
So, we have a Patreon. Every dollar helps, so we would really appreciate anything you could do there. We have different perk levels. Some of it even gets you some prints from Super Sirens
Yep.
or 3D printed goodies from Buster Props.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll also, depending on what you do there, we might even give you some shout outs on social media. So we want to give a shout out to our number one contributor, who is Jordan. Jordan, thank you very much for continuing to help us out. We really appreciate that. And you can always find everything else we do at griddaily.com. All of our other social media links are there in the top right, including our YouTube page where you can see this broadcast later and you can see all of our cool stuff. So check us out.
Just one last thing before we go. The internet has convinced me to do an April O'Neil costume, so I'll bust that out this year for you guys.
There you go. So there's something to look forward to. And check out the show notes. We're gonna credit Nicole as our director now, and you can check out her Instagram and Facebook pages where she does some really awesome artwork.
Crystal Bat Designs, if you want to just look it up now without having to wait for the credits.
Crystal Bat Designs. There you go. Crystal Bat Designs. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We will catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
That means turn off the stream.